So a couple of weeks ago, I made a video discussing Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and its possible future. It was a really interesting conversation for me to explore. We've got so much coming with Smash Bros. Ultimate, man. It's almost like impossible to envision all of the content and the characters and the stages and the DLC and the who knows what else, the new modes. There's so much to take in when it comes to Smash Bros. Ultimate, and it's crazy exciting. I mean, I think all of us as Nintendo fans and just gamers in general are really pumped for this game, but with so much coming in it, it started to make me wonder, what does this mean for Smash Bros. Beyond this game? Is Smash Ultimate meant to represent the final game in the Smash Bros. Series? Is this the peak of the franchise? Is there nothing new or exciting or fresh? I think that's the big key factor here. Something fresh that they could add to Smash Bros. After Ultimate. In a lot of ways, it seems like that's kind of what they're building to with this game. You know, as I said in that last video, you chart the course of the series from the 64 game to Brawl to Melee to Wii U and 3DS, and then now to Ultimate. It's only gotten bigger and better and more packed and crammed with stuff. It eventually made itself online. They eventually had a cinematic single-player campaign story. They started to do a portable and a home console release at the same time. Now it's coming to the Switch with 10 times more stuff. It's also now portable and home console just in one actual package. And so have they been building to what is meant to be the final game? And I liked the idea of envisioning some possibilities for the future of Smash Bros. Now, in that last video that I referenced, I really explored three really possible and interesting outcomes to me for the Super Smash Bros. Series after Smash Bros. Ultimate. This game comes out now. Actually, I'm recording this on November 7th, so the game actually comes out a week from today, the actual day that I'm recording this. This video won't go up until tomorrow, the 8th, but kind of actually interesting that it worked out that way. So, you know, this game comes out now in a month, basically in 4 weeks. And so once we get to 2 or 3 years down the road, I know they said DLC is planned through 2019 into the beginning of 2020. So once it's 2021, 2022, we're probably looking at the next console after the Switch at that point. It might be already released, or it could be on the horizon at that time. And at some point, Smash fans, you know, which includes myself, will start to wonder, okay, well, Smash Ultimate was a couple of years ago. What's next for Smash Bros? And so that's where I explored 3 possible and likely outcomes. One idea being it could just kind of do like a reset and kind of bring it down from the huge, mammoth, insane experience that it is now, and kind of bring it back down more to its roots, like with the original game on the 64, a smaller experience, a quieter experience, a less crazy and bombastic experience, less fighters and stages, and just content across the board. Could they actually pull that off? Maybe, maybe not, but it seems like a possibility to consider. The other one would be that, honestly, the series somehow finds a way to just keep going as is. You know, oh, Smash Ultimate comes out with 10 trillion characters and 5 billion stages and 100,000 music tracks, yada, yada, yada. And so now we have to make the sequel to Ultimate. Well, let's just put even more, and they find a way to do more characters and more stages and more music and more trophies and more just everything. Maybe they somehow find a way to make it even bigger than what Smash Ultimate is. Or the last option that I explored, obviously controversial, would be what if it just stops completely? Like I already said, what if Ultimate is meant to be the final game? And I really enjoyed talking about those 3 outcomes, but in the last couple of days, I kind of had this epiphany about some other possible direction that Smash Bros. Could go, or that Nintendo might want to take the very core concept of Smash Bros. After Ultimate. Now, I'm no fool. I know that this video and this topic is also probably going to be controversial. Most video game franchises have its very specific die-hard, unwavering fans, and the kind of fans that sometimes are so die-hard that they don't want to hear anything you've got to say if it doesn't already align with what's in their head. And so bringing up something like this might just really make a lot of people mad and whatever. I don't think it's a very controversial thing. I think it's actually cool to think about, and so that's why I wanted to talk about it. So the idea is, if we look at the core concept, the kind of makeup and DNA of Smash Bros., what is it? It's a mashup, or a crossover. You could call it both of those things. It's essentially a big Nintendo crossover. You're crossing over the Mario universe with the Metroid universe, with the Zelda universe, with the Pokemon universe, with the Pikmin universe, with the Fire Emblem universe, with the Bayonetta universe, and the Metal Gear universe, and the Final Fantasy universe, and the Street Fighter universe. They just keep coming to my head. It's just a humongous, ridiculous, obscene, but awesome crossover. And so what happens if Nintendo wants to further elaborate on that idea? What if they want to really dedicate with the Smash Brothers concept and take it to that next step? What if that's the best way to refresh the idea of a Super Smash Brothers experience after Ultimate? Where if you look at Smash Brothers, the first now, 5 games going into Ultimate, it's always focused primarily on Nintendo franchises and worlds. I would say Smash Brothers Ultimate, I'm just doing random math from my head now, we'll say it's 90% Nintendo characters and 10% third-party characters like Bayonetta and Solid Snake and Ryu and stuff like that. So that's, I mean, I don't know, it could be more or less than that, but it's about that. It's about 90-10, something like that. Now, what if they wanted to dedicate to that fully? What if that's the best future for Smash Brothers after Ultimate? And I say this because even as a huge Smash Brothers fan, I'm not like good at the game. I'm not that kind of fan. I just love the game. As a huge Smash Brothers fan, I still stop and try to envision a game after Ultimate that is literally just the bigger version with just more stuff thrown into it. And it's like, you know, I'm so excited for everything in Ultimate, I feel like it's the most I even need in a game. I feel like adding another 20 characters the next time isn't really gonna make or break the game. I don't think it's gonna be advantageous. I don't think it's gonna improve the experience. I know maybe we wanna close our eyes and think, oh, the more numbers you throw in, the better. That just makes it better. But I feel like at this point with Ultimate, I think we've reached that limit. So let's start to explore some other ways Nintendo could take it. That's what I want to see happen. And so what if they actually basically did the Marvel vs. Capcom route? I mean, at the end of the day, you guys, I think that's kind of what I envision. That's the template, I should say, that I envision for Smash Brothers after Ultimate. And that could happen in a few ways, where Nintendo wants to, you know, you could pick 100 different entities or properties to make a crossover with. It could be a Marvel, it could be a Capcom, it could be a DC, it could be a Mortal Kombat, it could be a Tekken. I mean, I don't know. Just rattle them off. That's not really the important thing. Just pick a video game or movie game franchise or something and make it a thing and envision it crossing over with Smash Brothers. And I feel like Nintendo could do that where it's Super Smash Brothers versus Capcom, Super Smash Brothers cross Tekken, however they'd want to do that. They could also do what people have been asking for like a decade, Capcom versus Nintendo, or Nintendo versus Capcom, whichever you put first there. And you really make it, you really kind of bill it as a Marvel versus Capcom experience, but instead you use Nintendo. And now, of course, that's tricky because doing a Nintendo versus Capcom, some people might see as different than a Marvel or than a Smash Brothers versus Capcom. And I get that because, to be fair, you've got a Marvel vs. Capcom experience, which is a specific kind of 2D fighting experience, and you have a Smash Brothers game, which is a different kind of 2D fighting experience. They operate on very different ways, even though they're both 2D plane and characters just try to fight each other. They're still, I mean, we all know they're so very, very different. And so I think an argument could be made where you were to say, well, if Nintendo just went Nintendo versus Capcom, and I'm just using Capcom as an easy example, guys, I'm not saying they should do this, whatever. You do Nintendo versus Capcom, well, it's probably going to play like a Marvel versus Capcom game. Okay, just a standard fighter with normal health bars. But if you do a Super Smash Brothers versus Capcom, or Super Smash Brothers versus Street Fighter, or whatever the case may be, suddenly you start to think, okay, well, once you make it a Smash Brothers versus something, suddenly you're not thinking of a typical 2D fighter like a Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat. You're thinking of a Smash Brothers fighter, where there could be multiple fighters on stage at once. There could be hazards in the level. It could be about building up a percentage. It could be about hitting characters so hard they fly off the screen and that's how you win, as opposed to just depleting a health bar. I mean, suddenly we're looking at a world where we're combining 2D fighting game mechanics. And that's why I think it would be more interesting to me if that's what Nintendo did after this. Not Nintendo versus Capcom. I mean, that would be fine too. But I'm not talking Nintendo versus Capcom. I'm talking about Smash Brothers versus Capcom. And we get a wide variety, a huge array of Nintendo characters, you know, probably smaller than what we're seeing in Ultimate, maybe 15 Nintendo characters and 15 Street Fighter characters, or 15 Mortal Kombat characters, or like I said, whatever the case may be. To me, I don't know, that just seems pretty interesting. It should be noted that my main kind of concept behind this idea is almost less about focusing 100% on the crossover idea. I just use the crossover idea because to me it seems the most plausible, and it seems the first gentle step towards changing Smash Brothers after Ultimate if Nintendo was choosing to do that. Because the real concept of what I'm getting at is taking the name Super Smash Bros. And changing it from what we know now as these games and these fighting experiences only, and doing something different with it. I've said this in a video in the past as well. I almost like the idea of a Super Smash Bros. Game that is only a single-player story. What if they took the idea of Subspace Emissary and they fleshed it out so expansively with so much stuff and a slightly different kind of control scheme that works a little bit better for like that kind of thing. Maybe they make it third-person 3D, maybe they keep it on a 2D plane, whatever. And they took the idea of the big Nintendo crossover that is Smash Brothers and made it kind of an ambiguous title that could be 100 different things. There's Smash Brothers the fighting games like these. There's Smash Brothers the adventure, like all the, Subspace Emissary games 1, 2, and 3, individual $60 releases and new stories. There's Smash Brothers the crossover with Tekken and Street Fighter and Capcom. And I mean, basically pick your poison and they could start to do 100 different things. That's kind of what I envisioned for Smash Brothers after Ultimate. Now, like I said, this is only in a world where Nintendo didn't decide to just keep doing Smash Brothers as it is now and get bigger and bigger, or to just straight up stop it and make Ultimate the last thing with Super Smash Brothers in its title ever. I mean, anything could happen. I'm just here to put this crazy idea out there because I think that, I don't know that I want to say I think it's likely. Something tells me this isn't something Nintendo would do with the Smash Brothers name going forward. But honestly, I kind of just like the idea, if you guys can't tell. I mean, I just think it would be cool. I would love to see Sub-Zero and Scorpion and Raiden fighting Samus and Mario and Pikachu. I don't know, whatever. I just think that would be so cool. And I know, again, the arguments could start to come out. Well, they just need to keep throwing those characters into Smash Brothers instead of doing the crossover, just add more third-party characters to these games. And it's like, I mean, that's not like a terrible idea, and in fact, it's actually a very possible idea. Maybe that's all Nintendo can do is keep throwing in third-party characters. But to me, I think that if you were to keep Super Smash Bros. As its own series and title of games, if you start throwing too many third-party characters in, if the scale of Nintendo to third-party starts to balance out too much, at that point, it's not Super Smash Bros. Anymore, because I think Super Smash Bros. Is meant to mostly evoke Nintendo franchises and characters. That's why I think the versus or the crossover idea works, because it's easier to sell people a 50-50 split of Nintendo and non-Nintendo characters because it's a crossover. So at the end of the day, that's really my overall idea here, and the thing that I wanted to just kind of put out there to you guys and just sort of talk about the idea out loud and kind of get the thoughts rumbling around in my brain. Because, like I mentioned, it's been probably 4 or 5 days here, and I've just been thinking about this and thinking about this. A random concept that just popped in my head, probably in response to the Smash Brothers Direct last time, the one from last week, and I was like, geez, we had 3 freaking 30 and 40-minute Smash Brothers Directs for this game that has 100 hours of content coming out next month. And I just started to think, what is next? And this crossover thing just popped into my head, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I was like, I have to talk about this. I want to put this theory out there. I want to hear what people have to say. I know, like I said, Smash purists are going to be like, you're a moron, you're dumb. Don't you know Smash Brothers? You don't do crossover. Smash Brothers is only one thing, and it should only be one thing forever. And hey, everyone has that right, man. I'm a Smash Brothers fan, just like a lot of you guys. To me, I would happily welcome an awesome Nintendo developed or Nintendo partner developed crossover game. I think that we would want Nintendo's mechanics to really go into it and their development style. I would happily welcome this idea, you guys. I mean, maybe you disagree, so this is the part where you get to tell me, do you think this is a terrible idea? Do you hate me for even bringing it up just as a fun theory to put on the internet? Or do you think there's something to it? Are you with me here? Do you think this could be a future for Smash Bros. Beyond Ultimate? And if not, tell me what you do want for Smash Bros. Beyond Ultimate. Like I said, they could reset it to a small experience, they could continue doing the same old, or they could stop it completely and Ultimate's the end. Maybe you like one of those options instead. Whatever it is, I want to hear it. I know I'm going to catch some flack for it, but I don't care. So please discuss this below. Thank you guys, of course, as always, for tuning in. This is Rob of Ro2R, and I'll catch you next time on another video.